Thank you. So I'm Louise Vettigan, the founder of Little Troopers. It's fantastic for me, for Little Troopers, to have children of our British Armed Forces on the agenda today. So a huge thank you for including that cohort. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the charity. I'm assuming, that nobody knows much about us. So I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about us as a charity, challenges military children might face, Little Troopers in Healthcare, the programme that I'm here to tell you more about today, and how can you support military children in healthcare. So Little Troopers, the charity, 2024 sees us enter our 13th year as a charity, supporting all children with one or both parents serving in the British Armed Forces, regular or reserve. So there's over 100,000 military children, and these children can face daily unique challenges due to being part of a military family. I joined the military myself. I was a mum and a soldier at the same time. We were a dual serving family. It's difficult. You can see the letter on the screen that my 7-year-old, who's now 21 and has just got a first in her nursing degree and is now a nurse. But this is the letter that she wrote at 7 years old that instigated me starting a charity. I wanted to support her and to make sure she didn't face disadvantage due to my choice of serving my country. So what are our values as a charity? Inclusion, recognition and celebration. And I think what I'm definitely hearing today is that recognition piece is so important in healthcare. And as a charity, that is something that's really important to us. So who does Little Troopers support? As I said, it's all children. That's the only eligibility that a child has, one or both parents currently serving in the British Armed Forces. So it doesn't matter rank, doesn't matter location, doesn't matter marital status, doesn't matter where people live, doesn't matter. The pure eligibility is that that child at that time has one or both parents serving in the British Armed Forces. So what challenges are military children navigating? So military children can experience life differently from their civilian peers. Military families are always coping with unexpected change and uncertainty, which can impact on military life. And that might look like having a parent deployed or serving away from home, on a course or an exercise, moving home and school frequently. That can often, mean changing in friendships, changing in home environments, living unaccompanied. That's something, or dispersed families. That's something that we're seeing a lot more of, where the serving person is away Monday to Friday and comes home and the family are settled. That too has its own challenges. And dual serving parents, where both parents are serving in the British Armed Forces. They don't always get posted together. They may go away at different times. And military children are not always necessarily resilient to these experiences just because they happen all the time. And this is something that I do like to talk about. I think resilience is expected sometimes of military children. We cannot expect resilience just because they've seen a parent go away multiple times. Just because it happens to someone always, often, it doesn't mean they're resilient. And you shouldn't expect resilience just because someone tells you they're a military spouse or a military child. Resilience needs to be nurtured. It needs to be looked after. It can't be expected. And having a parent away on exercise for a few weeks can be just as hard for some children as a longer deployment. So this is a short audio from our teen podcast called Squad. You can get it wherever you listen to your podcasts if you're interested, if this piques your interest. In this clip, some of the teens are talking together about dealing with stress surrounding those military challenges sometimes face. It really does bring home the impact military life can have.
You're listening to Squad.
Well, a recurring experience that our military teenagers told us about on Squad has been dealing with stress, be that worrying about a parent who's deployed or the anxiety that being frequently uprooted brings. Let's take a listen to some clips.
So I was diagnosed with OCD at the time as well. That mainly stemmed from dad being away.
How did that manifest itself? What was that like for you?
Oh, various different ways. I think the the most generic way that people kind of see it is, oh, everything has to be organised, colour coordinated wardrobe, stuff like that. But for me, mine sort of stemmed from the worry of dad being injured or not seeing him again, because obviously the sort of things he was getting up to on tour. So mine was silly stuff like I had to do check round corners to make stuff like that. And it sounds really bizarre to somebody who hasn't experienced it, but it was my way at the time of dealing with the stress that was going on.
I've got autism, which basically I can't deal with short-term changes. I need planning ahead. I need told ahead if something's going to change, and that doesn't really work in the military. If I'm lucky, I'll get some notice and all go to plan. But I plan in my head. I just decide if I'm going to cope with it. How I cope anyway is the worst will happen. Therefore, you're prepared. Which is not a good way of looking at it. But I mean, if it keeps it from getting worse, I suppose, if you're already there.
Do you find it like easy to cope with and talk out to people when your dad's away, or do you just kind of try and lock yourself in? Because I know a lot of people, either it's one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be one of these. I wouldn't talk about it. I grew up in a extremely civilian-dominated primary school. So no one really understood. We had this lady, but I just wouldn't talk to her. I shut myself away. But I think once I hit a certain age, I didn't really mind talking about it.
So I think that was really interesting. I hope it was just a really tiny insight into the realities of military life and how that can manifest sometimes in military children and young people. So as a charity, you know, how do we support those challenges that we've just talked about? Our support is split primarily into 3 different strands. So we've got at-home resources, programs and initiatives to empower parents at home to support their military children. And there's a whole raft of ways they can do that through Little Troopers and the programs that we have. We have our Little Troopers at School program, which again, we work with thousands of schools across the country nationally to educate the educator and also to provide tangible resources to those education settings to help them support those military children in those settings, whether they've got one child, military child, or whether they're 90% military. And then what we're here to talk about, what I'm here to tell you about today, is Little Troopers in Healthcare. So Little Troopers in Healthcare is about 2 years old now. It is a dedicated area where healthcare professionals can access useful information to better support military children in your care. Our charity receives an ever-increasing number of inquiries from NHS professionals looking for advice to help children who have parents serving in the British Armed Forces. The resources can be adapted for a range of healthcare settings, including children's hospitals and wards, paediatric outpatient facilities, children's centres, GP surgeries, social work services, and more. And the objective of the programme is to purely provide you with tangible resources that can be utilised in your healthcare settings to help you support those military children and young people. So there's lots of tangible ways we can help you via the Little Troopers in Healthcare programme. I'm going to touch on some of these in a little bit more detail. All of these resources are free to access and they can all be downloaded really easily from our In Healthcare area on our website.